This week is a massive week. With FOMC on Wednesday, a lot of people are expecting for us to just immediately skyrocket. And the truth is, 100% of the past 20 times that the S&P 500 was near record highs and we got rate cuts, we saw stocks higher 12 months later. However, in the immediate short term, we cannot ignore the fact that there will likely be some volatility both to the upside and the downside. In today's video, I'll be talking about how this impacts the crypto market and what my game plan is ahead of FOMC and afterwards. If you enjoy the content, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe. Without further ado, let's jump right into the video. All right, so let's get right into it. As you can see here, in 20 of the last 20 times that the Fed has rate cuts with the S&P 500 at record highs, stocks ended higher 12 months later. In fact, the S&P 500 rallied an average 13.9% over the next 12 months, according to Carson Research. Now, here's where you need to pay attention. 11 out of the last 22 times that this happened, stocks ended lower 1 month later. So this would go perfectly in line with what I've been discussing on the channel. And that is the general trajectory that I have been tracking for Bitcoin. Up, down, up. I still think, as per my last video, that this will be the general trajectory. Now, I know that a lot of you got heated because I said that we may potentially go down before we go up. But as you know, I have been vocally bullish since these bottoms over here. And as Bitcoin continues to climb up, we are seeing a lot more longs pile into the market as we approach rate cuts this week. Now, the odds are still we're going to get a 25 basis point rate cut. But there is still a little chance here that we may get 50 basis points. And if we did, this would shock a lot of people. And I think that the markets would just absolutely explode. That being said, I think that this is already largely priced in. And one of the reasons why I think this Bitcoin move will likely roll over at least a little bit before we can move higher is because this wasn't an impulsive move from the low. It was very, very choppy to the upside. And now you can see that we are in a critical zone. Now, what do I want to see us flip if we are just going to move higher into all-time highs immediately? As I shared in my last video, it is right around this region. We are actually currently in the rejection region, and I have started scaling into a very small Bitcoin short. Again, to reiterate, 1, this doesn't mean that I'm selling my spot portfolio. I am not. 2, I have been vocally bullish from the lows and I have gone max long. If you are in my premium group, you know this, and we made some very, very nice profits over the past couple weeks when everyone was bearish. And if we take a quick look at the Bitcoin exchange liquidation map, you can now see that there is around 2 times more cumulative long liquidation leverage compared to cumulative short liquidation leverage. Again, this doesn't mean that we necessarily have to go immediately down. As a matter of fact, there is still a lot of liquidity right around here between 116.4K all the way to around $118,000. If we are to reject, I do think overall it would be within this region. This is a few $1,000s. I understand it's not perfect to the dollar, but ultimately this is what I'm expecting. I have been long and now I'm slowly transitioning into short. Now, if we don't get rejected and we start getting daily closes above $118,000, those confirmed daily closes would be very important. It's at that point in time that I would say, yes, we're going to be making a new all-time high. But I'm just hedging my positions here because you can see, as I've shared in my videos, I have been vocally long from the bottom. I need to keep reiterating this because some of you think that I'm a max bear. But at this point in time, I think that the probabilities do favor a little bit of a correction before we make the last leg higher of this bull market cycle. I read your comments and I can tell that this upsets a lot of you, but as you can see, I trade the market every single day. We realize some very nice profits. We're sitting in some more unrealized very nice profits as well. And so this is how I play it. I have my long open from the lows and I'm preparing to enter a massive Bitcoin short, which I already started entering as per my VIP premium group. Now, we've been absolutely printing over the past few months. So if you want to join my free premium group, you have that first link in my description down below where I take you through how I trade the market on a day-by-day basis. These are my own personal trade setups. I don't have any signals, as we call them, where people just spam trade setups. This is my own capital and how I'm currently navigating this market. I also sometimes talk about my spot portfolio. If that interests you, that's the first link in my description down below. And again, the only requirement is that you sign up with one of my affiliate exchange links to be able to join. You trade on there and you're good to go. Now, speaking of which, on Bluffin, there's a brand new promotion for new users only. You can earn up to $10,000 completely for free, an Omega Globe Master that would be, or you can even get an Apple Vision Pro, an iPhone, an iPad, etc. This is based on your net deposits and your trading volume. And so, for example, if you deposit $10,000 and you trade with $150 million, which I know sounds like a lot, but any of you whale traders know that this is very easy to achieve if you're using leverage. You can get $10,000 completely for free, withdrawable. And of course, if you're trading with a little bit less capital, there's still some fantastic prizes. You can get $100 USDT just for trading as you normally would. These are very, very easy volumes to achieve, in my opinion, especially with the fact that you have about 2 weeks to achieve these volumes. If that interests you, you have the second link in my description down below. Now, back to the charts. So what I think could be happening here is Bitcoin could easily go up and grab some more upside liquidity, although you can see that to the downside, there's a lot more people starting to pile into longs. Now, I think that it's more than likely that we grab this huge cluster just above $117,000, and we'll see more and more longs continue to pile into the market. As I said, I gave you my invalidations. I'll be personally trading this. I took a lot of profits from my longs from the lows, and now I'm just patiently waiting to see what happens this week going into FOMC. Now, Bitcoin dominance. This is something we need to address. This is actually the path that I drew in one of my previous videos, and you can see that my expectation here is that we will get a bounce relatively soon. Now, what is my invalidation? You see this aggressive wick to the downside right above 55%. If Bitcoin dominance ends up breaking below there, at that point in time, we are much closer to the end of the cycle than most people will want to admit. And I would have to say altcoin season. Speaking of which, let's talk about altcoin season shortly after this analysis, because I want you to keep in mind what happened every single time the altcoin season index flipped super high. Now, right here, I am still expecting a bounce for Bitcoin dominance. I think that it's over the next coming weeks that we could see us kind of chop around, and then we will likely go higher as outlined per my previous drawing. If we start breaking below, that's when I'll have to say, guys, I think that this is it, and we're near the end of the cycle, much closer than I want to admit. Now, taking a look at the Bitcoin chart. My general path here has been the same. As we sit around $116,000, I think that there's a strong chance that we get at least some kind of revisit of 112 and likely lower, as I'm targeting the bottom of this range once more before we get the last leg higher to shake everyone out of the market, instill a lot of fear, and then we go ahead and explode to the upside. Happy to be proven wrong if we just continue to grind up and we start closing above this point of control from the previous range, above $118,000 several daily closes. But going into this week and the next, you now know my base case. So taking a look at this altcoin season index, you can see that we are technically in altcoin season. And over the course of this weekend, we were printing in our altcoin longs within my free community, but I'm still not actually holding them from a spot portfolio perspective. I like trading them right now. For most of this bull market cycle, it has really just been Bitcoin and ETH to help you outperform and you take on a lot less risk, and that was my approach. Now, I want you to pay attention to what happens every single time that we pop above this altcoin season zone. As you can see, we have these peaks, and I outlined them on my chart here. I will just have to zoom out on the weekly time frame, and this is essentially what happens. So the last time that we popped above this altcoin season range, you can see that shortly after, Bitcoin actually got a pretty significant drop. Then we chopped around, failed to make new aggressive highs, and then we came quite lower the next few months. Now, this isn't my base case. We also have this situation where Bitcoin really led the way. This is what I actually want to see. What do I mean by this? Well, Bitcoin dominance can go up in two ways. Whether Bitcoin leads the charge and starts pumping aggressively and leaves altcoins in the dust, or Bitcoin dumps and altcoins dump significantly more. I'm going for this scenario. I think that what could happen is Bitcoin gets that little dump to the bottom of this range, and then we have our last leg higher of this bull market cycle, and that is when we will see that this altcoin season index would move down drastically as Bitcoin leads the way. That is currently what I'm gunning for. I don't want to see Bitcoin just start correcting from here and then we continue up a little bit with altcoin season and then the cycle is over, because that would be horrible. I'm still expecting that last leg higher for this bull market cycle. To remind you, yes, I am a bull, even though in the short term, I like trading with leverage in this market, betting on the price going up or down. And the last time the altcoin season index went into a pretty significant uptrend, well, you can see that we were going into the previous bear market. The time before that, we also had a pretty severe correction afterwards before the last leg higher. So I'm going for Bitcoin correcting slightly, potentially to the bottom of the range, shaking out a lot of longs on this market after we crawl up to say up to $118,000. Now I know that we're playing with fire here because $118,000 is basically $6,000 away from the all-time high. But I still think that there's going to be a surprise in the market coming up into FOMC, and that's currently how I'm trading the market as well. Have not sold any of my spot holdings, just to reiterate that. Before I wrap up this video, I did want to show you an opposing view by some guy that I respect, Smiley Capital. He's been pretty spot on this bull market cycle, and he posted, I've seen this move before, however at 43K when upside was very obvious, path was clear. Let's see how it ends this time, much later in the cycle at much higher valuations, leaning towards bottom one being deviation again. As you can see, potentially what we just saw is a deviation below the range before we go ahead and pump to new all-time highs. Let me know what you think. Are we going to be making an aggressive new all-time high this week, or is there a little bit more downside to come before that last leg of this bull market cycle? If you enjoyed the content, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe, and I will see you in tomorrow's video.